Michael Rooker, you are a legend, sir. How are you?
I'm good, my man. I'm very good. Thank you for coming on and talking with me here. This is great.
Absolutely. This is maybe my favorite movie of the year. It is so much fun. I think it's brilliant. First and foremost, can you talk to me about Clyde and Mino's relationship?
Well, how great is it, right? I mean, what a connection already. I've spoken about it, but it's like just really, sometimes you just meet actors that you connect with right away, and this is one of them. Ariana was a beautiful young lady, and oh man, it was just so much fun, so great. What a great chemistry. It was just instantaneous. Ariana and Dylan and all three of us, even before the read through, we were constantly cracking jokes with one another and it just going at it. It was beautiful. The poor director, I don't know how he managed handling us.
Honestly, the connection that you and Ariana have is amazing. It's so beautiful. And for you, how long have Mino and Clyde been traveling together?
Oh, we've been traveling together quite a while. You know, I think she hooked up with me the way it was after our group had been devastated by monsters. The only survivors were me and her, and so we're both in shock, and we just ended up, just hanging out from there. So it's been probably a number of years.
Yeah.
Dylan's been in his bunker for 7 years. So 7 years, they talk about it being 7 years. So, we were on the surface level for maybe not that long. Who knows? So we may have been, she may have been quite a small child.
Sure.
Even.
Absolutely. Now, what do Mino and Clyde have in common? What ties their bond together?
Pain. The pain of loss. The pain of losing our world and losing our families. We're bonded. We are now family,
Yeah.
and so that's it. We're as much a part of as much we're just family. It doesn't have to be biological or through blood or anything like that. We hooked up. We are the only survivors, and so we got each other's backs.
Absolutely. Now you play this grizzled adventure, which is a perfect type of character in this kind of film. What were some of the maybe films or characters that helped inspire Clyde for you?
Nothing really. I just, I read the script. I liked the role, the way it was written. It just connected with me, and I was ready to go pretty much from day one. Of course, the hat is a very Indiana Jones kind of hat, and I thought that was great. But you know what? It's a great hat. I had a feather in my hat, so I was like so happy. I was like, what can we do to this hat to make it more Clyde? And so I found a feather and popped it in the hat, and we're done and done. We're ready to go.
And then the rest is history.
The rest is history, dude. Yeah.
Now,
good, very well written character. I thought it was well written, so I enjoyed it.
This is one of my this movie is, I think it's brilliant. Like from visuals to the acting to the writing, like it hits every note. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like a new generation version, almost of like The Princess Bride, like for a new generation. Oh, yeah. It definitely has that feel to it.
Humor. It's got a great combination of humor, and you know what? It's not too bloody. It's not too scary. It's walking that line, and it's really, I just think it's going to appeal to a lot of people. In this day and time right now. It's kind of nice to have a movie you can watch that leaves you with a positive, there's some positiveness,
Yeah, I mean, and interestingly enough, I mean, it's about a lot of characters that are essentially trying to stay away from the outside world because there's these monsters out there, which is somewhat of what we're going through a little bit now in this pandemic. of being trapped in somewhere and being afraid to kind of go outside. Now, you're no stranger to monster flicks, whether we're talking about Slither or The Walking Dead. How does this movie set itself apart? Because you talked about the comedy, because it does, like, it's so witty, which is another facet that I loved about this film.
Yeah. Well, the character itself is you know, I mean, he welcomes Dylan into this small family group, you know, instantly. I mean, pretty much. But he does. They still, him and Ariana here, him and Mino still like, yeah, are you a food stealer? You know, so they're still a little leery of him. But they after they realize, okay, I think you're okay. It's a very positive. It ended up being a very positive experience for, I think, this character to team up with Dylan, and we even asked him to come along with us. You know.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's, you know, he's kind of a stranger. So he is definitely a stranger, but we still trust him enough to allow him to come along with us and be safe.
Right. Now, you talked about teaching Dylan's character Joel lessons along the way with Mino, and there's some great lessons in this film that you guys have. One of them is, for me, some of my favorites is not both. You can't eat and sleep. You can't do both. And also, keep your socks dry. What were some of your favorite lessons that were in there?
I know, right? I think you just like, you know, there's no, you know, you can have one or the other, man. That's the way it is in this world. So you can have one or the other. So that's got to be one of my favorite ones.
I love that so much, and I love that you know, it's Mino that actually delivers that. It's one or the other, and he's like, "What?" And it's so brilliant. Like, this movie is so good.
Yeah, you can either sleep or eat. You can't do both.
I love it. Now, for a lot of the portion of this movie, Dylan O'Brien, it's Joel. We follow along his journey with his dog Boy for a lot of the time by himself. When you were working with Dylan, what were some of the things that impressed you about his performance? Because I heard that like some of that stuff you guys did, it would happen day of. It would be in the moment, a lot of that improv stuff, yeah?
Oh, yeah, we have the lines, of course. We have the lines. And sometimes you just go off, sometimes you go off book. Sometimes you physically go off book. You know, how they write it down sometimes in the script is not necessarily how it plays out.
Right.
You know, I mean, you know, you just logistically, you have to change stuff. But sometimes within the scene itself, certain lines just don't make sense anymore, you know, and so you got to change, you got to adapt. And just like in this new world that we're living in, you have to adapt. You know, you can't eat and enjoy a good night's sleep. Oh, you got to have one or the other, okay? Because these creatures have senses too, and like Clyde says in the script, dude, well, within 30 minutes we're going to have, you know, there's going to be something all over us.
Right.
They're going to smell this food and they're going to be here. And,
now, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So how does Clyde view Joel? Because he comes into it with his dog Boy. How does Clyde initially view Joel?
Well, we initially we were a little leery of him, you know, because he looks healthy.
Right.
He doesn't look like he's starving. And I think that's what motivates the whole food stealing thing. I mean, yeah, dude, you're a food stealer. I mean, you don't look like you've been starving out here, okay?
Exactly.
For some of our first questions are like, oh, where's your group? What happened? Why'd they kick you out? I mean, we're just assuming they kicked you out.
Right.
No one, it seems like we don't experience a lot of people coming out of their bunkers intentionally. You know, nobody wants to get out here in this world and be eaten, right?
Right.
So we're just a little bit leery of him at first, and I think we end up trusting him. which is cool. We end up trusting him, and we end up inviting him along with us.
Absolutely.
So, that whole positiveness and that ability to trust and allow him into our group, that's very important. It's really cool. It's a very cool piece because of that, I think.
Now, you're no stranger to working with green screen. And a lot of this movie seemed very practical. I mean, obviously some of the creatures that were created were done in post, but everything looks so real, especially your locations, and maybe even some of the, there's like little monster claws here and there, little things that pop up. Can you talk to me about how that realness kind of helps inform your performance?
Well, we were right there. I mean, there was not a lot of sets built. There was like one interior set that I worked on, but most everything else was outside in the real world, and so that always adds to it. And right. So the when you're walking around out there, you're not just walking around. Okay, you're looking and you're alert. And in the movie we are, because there's monsters everywhere that could eat us. But right. In real life, you are as well. Because I mentioned earlier that, every now and then you'd see these guys around the perimeter of our set outside in the woods and in the outback, wherever we were. And they have the little orange vest and they have the long poles. These guys are looking for snakes.
Right.
And let me tell you, you're in Australia, and there are some really scary critters out there. They don't, so they had to go in before the actors moved in and snake-proof the area, and then they had to roam around outside the perimeter of the cameras and everybody, and still look around and make sure everybody was safe and nobody got bit. So yeah. that adds to the realism immediately, because you're alert. You're supposed to be alert in the movie, right? And you got to be alert in real life as well.
Amazing. Well, look, Michael, thank you so much for your time. Legitimately, this is the best movie I've seen all year. I had so much fun watching it. I've seen it 3 times already. I love this movie. So thank you so much, Michael. I truly enjoyed it.
Thank you, man.
Take care.